Mommy, wake up. I was suddenly shaken awake, my eyes barely open to see my daughter's anxious face looming in my blurry vision, her small hands trembling against my shoulders. I slowly sat up and asked her, "What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare?" My nurse's instinct automatically scanning her for signs of fever or distress. "No, Mom, please, we need to run away from Dad now. Hurry." With that single word, my groggy mind snapped to alertness, adrenaline instantly clearing the fog of sleep. What followed was a shocking revelation from my daughter that left me dumbfounded, my medical training utterly useless against this kind of emergency. My name is Fiona. I'm a 35-year-old pediatric nurse at the local children's hospital while raising my 7-year-old daughter Bryn. Our precious gem is not only adorable but a bit unusual, or rather has some mysterious aspects, especially when it comes to sensing danger. Mom, you're forgetting your umbrella. The weather forecast for that day was partly sunny with clouds. Despite the thick clouds, there were patches of blue sky over our suburban neighborhood. I was stopped by my daughter as I was about to leave the house in my scrubs before her. "It's fine, there's only a 10% chance of rain today." "But Mom, you're going to get soaked." I saw it happening. "Please take an umbrella with you." Her eyes held that familiar intensity I'd come to recognize. Reluctantly, I took the umbrella she handed me and headed to work, my stethoscope hanging around my neck. No way. I encountered a sudden downpour just before I was about to return home from my shift. I was surprised and came home drenched, only to be proudly greeted by my daughter, whose umbrella was also wet on the stand. "Welcome home, Mom." See? It happened just like I said. Bryn has had this slight mysterious power since she was very young, accurately predicting not just weather but medical emergencies before they happen. It might be an exaggeration to call it a precognitive ability, but it's unusual, almost like she has a special sensitivity to physical danger. She sometimes feels out of place because of this trait when playing with her friends at school, but she doesn't seem to mind. Above all, we, her family, have accepted this as part of her uniqueness, and she's otherwise a perfectly normal, adorable girl who loves her stuffed animals and coloring books. What concerns me more is my husband Dominic, who is the same age as me. We met at a hospital fundraiser. Back then, I was a dedicated pediatric nurse, already making a name for myself in the children's ward. I was successful in my career but inexperienced with relationships. Urged by my impatient parents, I attended the fundraiser where many eligible bachelors were expected. It might be odd for a wife to say, but Dominic was even more handsome back then with his confident smile and tech industry polish that instantly charmed me. Moreover, he presented himself as supportive of my career, and I instantly fell in love with both his intelligence and apparent respect for my profession. Our relationship quickly progressed with marriage in mind, his IT security expertise seeming like the perfect complement to my medical knowledge. My husband and I have been married for 10 years this year. He always comes home late these days, claiming to be networking for new opportunities. Bryn is only 7 years old, and she still requires a lot of care between school, her allergy medications, and regular doctor checkups. Juggling her care, household chores, and my demanding shifts at the hospital without Dominic's help has been overwhelming. Everything costs money these days, especially medications and your continuing education courses. We need to save as much as we can for Bryn's sake. You never know what medical emergencies might happen, so I'm working hard. That's what he said when I asked him about his late nights. I can't argue with him when he says it's for Bryn's sake, though something in his tone never quite rings true. I've been overwhelmed with work, household chores, and solo parenting, often falling asleep with my medical journals still open beside me. Then one day, Dominic came home early looking extremely tense, his usual composed demeanor noticeably fractured. Sensing the mood, I sent Bryn away before asking, "What's wrong? Did something happen at work?" "Actually, I want to quit my job." His words hung in the air between us. "What?" It was completely unexpected, especially since he'd been at the cybersecurity firm for years. After Bryn went to bed, we talked. He claimed to be struggling with workplace relationships and no longer finds his job fulfilling, making it a pain to go to work, though he was suspiciously vague about specifics. Don't blame me. I just can't take it anymore. The tech industry is changing too fast. Once things settle down, I'll find another job right away. Until then, I'll take care of everything at home. His fingers tapped nervously on his laptop as he spoke. I didn't want him to quit, especially with our mortgage and Bryn's future education to consider, but forcing him could lead to worse outcomes. I see. All right. Reluctantly, I agreed to his request. My nursing salary would have to stretch further now. Before long, I picked up extra shifts at the pediatric ward, and my husband became a stay-at-home dad, though he spent more time on his computer than with our daughter. His way of doing household chores and cooking was, to put it mildly, a bit sloppy compared to when I did them, lacking the sanitary standards I maintained as a healthcare professional. What particularly bothered me was the meals, which often ignored the basic nutrition guidelines I'd learned in nursing school. I came home around 9 o'clock at night when Bryn went to bed and ate my husband's homemade food, but there was a lot of fried food. And the seasoning was surprisingly strong, so I always needed water, my trained palate detecting unusual flavor combinations. The first time I ate it, I couldn't help but confront him, my concern both personal and professional. What is this? You didn't feed the same thing to our daughter, did you? This sodium level isn't healthy. No. I made sure to prepare something with lighter flavors for the kid, and I kept the portions appropriate. I thought you'd appreciate something with a bit more flavor after a long day dealing with sick children. He smiled disarmingly. Too much fried food, not enough vegetables, and the soup barely tastes like anything natural. I'd be fine with a lighter seasoning for kids, and I wish you'd pay more attention to balancing the meals. As a nurse, I see the results of poor nutrition every day. Despite my repeated comments and even showing him nutritional guidelines from the hospital, the seasoning and menu hardly changed. If I tried to leave anything uneaten, he'd say, "I'll save it for our daughter to eat tomorrow." That's a joke. I'd rather eat it myself than let our daughter have it. She needs proper nutrition for development. I'd protest, my maternal and professional instincts aligning. Reluctantly, I'd finish my meal, and as an apology, he started offering dessert after dinner, often from bakeries near the pharmaceutical district. He also began preparing a nightly drink and snack, calling it a nightcap set, thinking it would please me after my stressful hospital shifts. I hadn't been much of a drinker or late-night snacker before, and as a healthcare worker I was well aware of the dangers, but I couldn't outright reject his kindness. I appreciated his efforts in cooking and his attempts at being a good house husband, so I generally turned a blind eye, enjoying the break from household chores. Though I sometimes wondered why I felt increasingly exhausted despite the supposed help. About 6 months into my role as the primary breadwinner, I finally had a day off with absolutely no plans. However, I felt off from the morning and lay down feeling foggy, my medical knowledge cataloging my symptoms automatically: elevated heart rate, slight dizziness, persistent fatigue. Lately, I've been feeling lethargic without any fever and suffering from headaches that don't respond to over-the-counter medications. I'd fall asleep right after eating, which as a nurse I recognized as abnormal, but dismissed it as work stress. Maybe I've been overdoing it at the pediatric ward. The children's cases have been particularly difficult lately. Strangely, my allergy medication seemed less effective, though the dosage hadn't changed. Luckily, my husband took our daughter out to a nearby large shopping mall, promising to contact me if anything came up. I was grateful for his thoughtfulness, allowing me some much-needed rest, though part of me wondered why my professional training wasn't helping me diagnose my own condition. Feeling grateful to my husband in my heart despite his recent distance, I was dozing off, my nurse's watch still strapped to my wrist. I'm back. I woke up to the sound of the front door and my husband's voice. I realized that it was already evening. I had slept through the day without having lunch since before noon, unusual even with my exhaustion. Welcome back. Sorry honey, I couldn't play with you today. Did you have fun? I asked our daughter, holding a palm-sized character mascot she must have gotten while out. But she nodded quietly, looking down, unlike her usual self, her small fingers gripping the toy tightly. I tilted my head, puzzled by her unusual behavior, my maternal instincts and professional assessment both registering something wrong. What's wrong? Did something happen? Maybe she's just tired from walking around all day. You should take a shower and rest early, okay? Dominic gently placed his hand on our daughter's shoulder, and she nodded slightly before heading to her room. When she was out of sight, I quietly asked my husband, "Hey, she seemed a bit off. Did you scold her or something?" "No, I didn't do anything. I think she's just tired. Anyway, about dinner. His eyes darted momentarily to his laptop bag. I tensed up at his words. I was frankly fed up with his cooking and concerned about the nutritional content. About dinner, you know, I'll cook tonight. I've had a restful day and feel energized. I stood up, steadying myself against the momentary dizziness. Oh, okay, then. I'll prepare the nightcap. I even bought dessert for you. He smiled, lifting a bag from a famous cream puff shop on the same block as Piper's pharmaceutical company. Let's make tonight's meal low-calorie and nutritious. I said, automatically falling into my hospital nutritionist's recommendations. Later, we had dinner together and decided to sleep together, Bryn insisting on staying in my bed. Though she smiled when it was just the two of us, I could tell she was anxious and wanted to spend as much time together as possible, her eyes constantly checking the bedroom door. Mom, I have something to say. In the privacy of our bedroom, wrapped in blankets, my daughter whispered in a voice so faint I almost missed it. What is it? I brushed her hair gently, noting her rapid pulse when my fingers touched her neck. Please don't drink any alcohol tonight. Her eyes held that same intensity I'd seen when she warned me about medical emergencies before they happened. What could this be? Another instance of her danger-sensing ability? As a nurse, I'd learned to trust instincts, and Bryn's had never been wrong. Nodding in response to my daughter's serious gaze, she closed her eyes, seemingly reassured, her small hand still clutching my scrubs from earlier. And so, before my husband could prepare our nightcap, I went to bed and decided to sleep early, leaving my allergy medication untouched on the nightstand. Surely he wouldn't go as far as to wake me up for a drink, though I'd noticed how insistent he'd become about the nightly ritual. If he tries to wake me, I'll just pretend to be asleep. With that thought in mind, I closed my eyes, one arm protectively around my daughter. Mommy. Mom, wake up. I was suddenly shaken awake, and my eyes barely opened to see Bryn's anxious face looming in my blurry vision. I realized I had actually fallen asleep, my vision blurry as her anxious face came into view, her eyes wide with fear. Checking the bedside clock, I saw it was 2 a.m., and I noticed Dominic, who should have been sleeping next to me, was absent. Maybe he went to the bathroom or was working late on his computer again. Slowly sitting up, I asked her, "What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare?" My nurse's training automatically kicking in. No Mom, please, we need to run away from Dad now. Hurry. What? That single word snapped me out of my grogginess. What did she just say? Asking her quietly, still in shock, why would you say that? This is our chance while Dad's not here. Because, if we don't, something bad's going to happen to you, Mom. Like getting sick or an accident. The medicine is all wrong. What do you mean? What medicine? My professional concern heightened. As I stared dumbfounded, my daughter, unable to hold back any longer, started to cry. Holding her in my lap and gently stroking her trembling back, she gradually calmed down and began to speak. According to her, while returning from the restroom at the mall, she overheard her dad on the phone and saw something on his laptop screen. Having always been told not to interrupt when someone is on the phone, she approached quietly. Dad was saying, just a little longer and she'll be gone. Planning to make it look like an accident or illness. Once that's done, we can be together with the insurance money. And Mom, his computer had charts with your name and all your symptoms. Who was he talking to? I asked, my mouth suddenly dry. I don't know. At first, I thought it was you, Mom, but it wasn't because Dad, he was saying bad things about you, and he said, "I love you" to the person. The screen showed he's been changing your allergy pills. And he's been using my medication too. If this was true, my husband was planning to send me to my demise using his IT skills to track drug interactions with clinical precision. Besides, he is having an affair, likely with someone who had access to pharmaceuticals. Bryn continued, he said, "I love you" to someone, not Mom. He called her Piper. I saw messages about medications. Then Dad asked, "How long have you been there? If you don't tell, you'll get a new, kind, and sweet mom." When I said it just now, he smiled and said, "Let's keep this our little secret." Tears streaming down her face, she clung to me. "But I want you." I don't need another mom. I love you so much. I don't want him to hurt you with the medicine. She wailed. In that moment, I felt overwhelming guilt for putting her through this and anger towards my husband, anger that someone would use medical knowledge, meant to heal, to cause harm. My daughter had braved her fears to protect me from her own father, recognizing a danger that I, with all my training, had missed. How scared she must have been. How much courage she must have needed. Afterwards, holding my daughter, we went downstairs to the entrance, my nurse's bag in hand. The moment I noticed my husband's favorite shoes were missing, any trust one had in him vanished alongside my daughter's words. According to her, this wasn't the first time he had left in the middle of the night, often with his laptop bag. She had seen him leave several times when going to the bathroom. How had I never noticed before? Had he been drugging me more effectively than I realized? If my daughter rarely wakes up at night and had seen him leave multiple times, it must have been frequent. Bryn was gripping the hem of my scrubs tightly, her knuckles white with determination. Her actions made me realize there was no time to doubt Dominic. My training told me to trust observable symptoms. That's right. This is not the time for hesitation. I need to respond to Bryn's courage. Perhaps because I hadn't drunk any alcohol or taken my allergy medication, I felt more alert than I had in months. Looking into Bryn's eyes, I said, "Bryn, if we run away from Dad now, we might never see him again. Will you still come with me?" "Yes. I'm scared of Dad. I want to be with you, Mom. I want to stay with you forever." "All right." I made up my mind, my medical instincts finally overriding my emotional blindness. Fortunately, my daughter was in the middle of her summer vacation, no school to complicate our departure. I told her to pack what she needed, including her authentic medications, and I quickly packed our bags as well. And then I was stunned as I checked the contents of the drawer where I kept our valuables. My prescription pad was missing several sheets. Opening another drawer, my suspicion was confirmed, a folder containing detailed notes on drug interactions and my symptom progression. A surge of anger rose within me, but for now, leaving was the priority. We hurriedly left the house before dawn and decided to seek refuge at my parents' house. My parents were surprised to see us arrive so early in the morning, but they kindly welcomed us, my dad's ex-police instincts immediately alert. After showing them what I found and explaining what my daughter had told me, I sent a casual message. "My mom got hurt. I'm taking Bryn to help out for a month or so. Please take care of the house while we're gone." "Got it. Leave everything here to me." He was surprisingly calm about his daughter and wife disappearing overnight. Certainly, he must be smirking, thinking he can now do as he pleases with his pharmaceutical girlfriend. I'll lay low for now, but I won't let this go. For my daughter's sake and for every patient I've sworn to protect. As soon as we arrived at my parents' house, Bryn, still with tear stains on her cheeks, fell asleep. Looking at her sleeping face, I made a call to a detective I knew from the hospital's security team. About a month after taking refuge at my parents' house, I decided to return home, leaving Bryn with my mom. I entered the living room after unlocking the door, my smartphone in my chest pocket recording everything. Dominic, who had been holding his head in front of his smartphone, gave me a forced smile as if nothing had happened. "Oh, welcome back. Don't just come back suddenly like that, you surprised me." "Oh, how about I make you a nice iced coffee with lots of milk and sugar?" If it were the old me, I might have been deceived, but not today. My training had taught me to trust evidence over emotions. "I don't need it. Instead, I want you to write this." I confronted my husband with divorce papers, my hand steady. He sighed deeply after glancing at them. "Divorce? Well, if that's what you really want, I'll agree." His reaction was expected, but it infuriated me. He casually accepted it with a smile. "I'll agree to the divorce since you're the one asking for it, but you'll meet my demands for the settlement, right?" "What are you talking about? You're the one who'll be paying for attempting to poison a healthcare professional." "What?" My husband looked puzzled. He shook his head unwillingly with a forced smile. "Come on, I've been supporting you in my way, and now you're handing me divorce papers unilaterally? A good husband? The kind that skips work for affairs with pharmaceutical reps and plans to poison his wife? What are you talking about?" his face showing the first signs of real fear. I couldn't help but snort at his dumbfounded face. I pulled out a small bottle filled with pills from a drawer and showed it to him. The label read, "For stubborn insomnia. 1 pill for a good night's sleep." That's... I bought it because I couldn't sleep well. It's obvious if you look at it. The amount hasn't decreased since I left. I took pictures of everything. Want me to compare with my toxicology screen? I said. He confronted me, "Don't talk nonsense. Where's the proof that I gave those to you? Everything you've been doing with your mistress from the pharmaceutical company, I know all about it." I returned to my seat with the bottle in hand, pulling an envelope from my bag and spilling its contents. Dominic froze in shock. No wonder. Those were printouts of messages he had sent to his mistress at the pharmaceutical company. It says things like, "I'm skipping work to see you. Wait for me. I quit my job so we can talk more. Love you. I got something that'll make sure she won't wake up. I can visit during that. Think we can be together soon? Wait for me, my princess." He sent this kind of message every day, his IT security background evident in how he tracked my symptoms. Every lie about working late and his plans to make my demise look like an accident were detailed in a spreadsheet. Thinking back, the meals he prepared were high in salt, fat, and even sugary desserts, all contraindicated with my medication. It's no wonder my health declined despite my medical knowledge. Plus, he tampered with my allergy medication, replacing it with compounds from Piper's pharmaceutical connections. I didn't drink often, so I didn't notice, but when I compared medications at my parents' house, the difference was shocking. I started feeling unusually tired after eating your meals. I never felt refreshed despite falling asleep quickly. No wonder, with alcohol and these pills. Mixing them is the worst. As a nurse, I know exactly what could have happened. Dominic's face turned pale as his eyes darted around. How come you have this stuff? Don't tell me you snooped through my phone. That's a violation of privacy. No, I got it from her. Your mistress. I told him. What? I flipped over a second envelope to show him, and his face went white. No wonder. The scattered photos showed him getting cozy with a young woman in pharmaceutical sales attire. After returning to my parents' house, believing my daughter's warning, I contacted a detective from the hospital. He probably never imagined I'd doubt him or have medical evidence analyzed. Not even 3 days after we left, he was bringing Piper into our house, living as newlyweds. It was easy to find his mistress's background, from her name to her pharmaceutical company. I negotiated with Piper. I showed her the photos and said if she provided testimony about the medication tampering, I'd reduce the compensation fee. She handed over her phone, saying, "Do whatever you want with it." Dominic flipped between his phone and the photos, muttering, "So that's why," and "she betrayed me." I tapped the divorce papers laid out on the table, my nurse's hand steady. Now, the main issue. With this evidence, I could go to the police, but I don't want Bryn's father to have a criminal record. So sign these. The settlement, alimony, child support, and the savings you spend on your mistress. Wait a minute. It was just a fling. Divorce just like that. Whether it was a fling doesn't matter. You betrayed your family. You traumatized our daughter. You tried to poison me. Thinking you could get away with it is delusional. As I said that, he collapsed to his knees. Just as I thought that, he grabbed my leg, glaring at me fiercely. It's your fault for being such a charmless woman. Your nursing career always came first. Did you think I'd return everything quietly? He raised his fist. I pursed my lips, stared him down, and pulled out my phone. I've been on the phone the whole time since I entered the house. What? His fist froze midair. I quickly stood up and gathered my documents. The person on the other end is my dad and my lawyer. They're waiting just around the corner. No, that's not, it's different, he shouted. I've been recording everything, including your admission about the medications. From now on, we communicate through my lawyer. My husband, lost for words, slumped down as I left with my belongings. I got into the car where my dad and the lawyer were waiting, then called my mom who was looking after Bryn. My daughter cheerfully greeted me on the phone. Mom. Did you finish talking with Dad? Bryn, I talked to him, but it turns out we can't live with your dad anymore. My voice maintained the gentle tone I use with my pediatric patients. Her reply was silence, though I could almost feel her processing this news. Guilt for taking her father away from my little daughter hit me, even though I had resolved myself as both a mother and medical professional. Sorry, Bryn, that. Well, Mom, it's okay. I understand. I'll be here for you. Her intuitive wisdom beyond her years shining through. Her words enveloped me softly, making the back of my nose tingle. Tears welled up, and my dad beside me offered support, his ex-police officer instincts to protect his family still strong. Later, we got divorced. The apartment we lived in was sold due to the division of assets, and I returned to my parents' house. My ex-husband, jobless after his IT career collapsed and unable to afford a lawyer, couldn't pay the agreed amount and ended up begging his parents for help. His parents were furious with him, especially his mother Marilyn, the retired schoolteacher who had always taught ethics and responsibility. My in-laws paid the compensation and other expenses he owed me in full as an apology, his father Edmund handling the financial arrangements with professional precision. Afterward, Dominic tried to cling to Piper, who quickly discarded him once his pharmaceutical access was compromised. Unable to find a decent job in IT security after word spread, he now leads a difficult life filled with odd jobs, as I heard from my in-laws. Meanwhile, I began a new life with my parents and daughter at their home, my mom Lorraine's nursing background proving invaluable for our healing. Bryn stopped making her mysterious warnings after moving but made good friends at her new school and seems happy every day. We might face many challenges ahead, but I swear on my now empty ring finger to raise my daughter well, my nursing career providing both purpose and stability for our future.